All right, welcome in. I'm the Kodiak. Today, I'm here to talk about the fact that I do not think we are going to be drafting a tight end in the first round of the NFL draft in 2025, which really sucks because our draft crushes, I think, as Broncos country, have really been based around that position. But before we get into it, I just want to say leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. My comment question of the day is who is a better Broncos quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater or Case Keenum? And the answer is pretty obvious for me, but I go Case Keenum, man. I'll get into that in the comment section down below if you guys want to argue with me about that. But yeah, follow me on Twitter if you like what I have to say on here at Kodiak Broncos. Let's dive right into it. So it's time to talk about tight end. And I know that pretty much all Broncos country has been locked in on Tyler Warren ever since, mid-November or so. And I think we need to draft him at our position if he is available. But I've been saying that Tyler Warren, he's only going to go up, not down as we progress into draft season. I think everything that happened and the fact that he ended the year really, really strong with Penn State, it's only going to make his draft stock rise more than go down. And listen, prospects are pretty volatile, but that's why I say that he's likely to go up, not down, because the volatility is probably something that's not going to work in our favor in this instance. And very few mocks even have him lasting until our slot now. And I don't see us giving up a lot of picks to trade up in the first, especially because it is a deep tight end class. And yes, I know Tyler Warren, the gap from him to the other guys is pretty substantial. But once again, there's so many dudes in this class that I don't think the depth is just going to be something that the Broncos are willing to sacrifice if they really, really want to go for Tyler Warren. And Colston Loveland. I want Colston Loveland if we don't get Tyler Warren, but I'm not sure how teams feel because he had a really, really up and down year this year. And actually none of it was his fault because, Michigan, the quarterback situation was a disaster. But the versatility of Warren is electric. But Loveland is someone I also really like. And I didn't think he was that good in 2024. I was watching his highlights and his, tape once I was able to get a hold of that. And I was like, huh? Like, this guy is getting round one buzz. And then I watched 2023 and I was like, oh, I get it now. He looked way better in 2023. And he looked like a first-round tight end. But there were so many factors outside of his control. And I would bet on Tyler Warren being the Broncos guy, not Colston Loveland, because Tyler Warren profile is very similar to a guy like Taysom Hill, who you already know Sean Payton is going to be absolutely, how do I keep this PG? He's going to be fantasizing over, if I kept that PG enough. But Colston Loveland is someone who I think the Broncos could, A, really be happy with, and B, I think they would also be really, really thrilled if they land him as well. So this is Tyler Warren's latest mock draft database, where he's projected to go. And you'll notice that in only one of these mocks, which is by this guy named Matt Rooney right here on Bleacher Nation, this is the only one that even has him lasting until our pick. So some of the common spots are number 13 to Miami, but the real biggest ops when it comes to landing this Tyler Warren thing for us is going to be the Colts. The Colts are by far going to be our biggest op when it comes to this. He's even going as high as number 8 to Carolina. And listen, I think, once again, the Colts, they have a propensity to draft high relative athletic score guys. So if Tyler Warren tests above a 9.5, forget about it. He's not lasting until our pick. I don't even think he's going to last until our pick regardless. I think it's way more likely he plays himself into the top 10. I mean, the season's over, but I think he works himself into the top 10 by the time draft season is over because I think he is that level of tight end prospect. But, we'll see. We'll see because there's still a lot of draft season left. And like I said, prospects are pretty volatile. And it's still the end of January, so we don't really, really have a grip on how everything's going to shake out. In 3 months, we'll definitely know a lot more about how the top 5, top 6 is probably going to go. But either way, yeah, this is just Tyler Warren's latest landing spots. And unfortunately, it seems to be pretty common that he is not going to last until our pick. So I saw a really interesting post on Reddit today, on Broncos Reddit, and he talked about, Sean Payton's historical trends when it came to investing in the tight end position. Now, this guy's whole thesis, the glass on the plane guy in r/Denver Broncos, his whole thesis I thought was a little weird. Like, his whole thesis with the thing is, that Tez Johnson is our pick at number 20 right now, our penciled in pick, and he's going to affect our entire offseason plan and cause a whole butterfly effect. I could not disagree with that more, but there was a lot of really good info on the Broncos and, the investment that tight end Sean Payton has made in the tight end position throughout his tenure as a head coach. And you'll notice that Sean Payton has only drafted 3 tight ends in 17 years of being an NFL head coach. There was Adam Troutman back in New Orleans. They actually traded up to get him. I remember very specifically in that draft. Who else? Jimmy Graham. And then there was another guy who I can't even remember at this point. And by the way, he has never used draft capital higher than number 95 at the position. Now, it remains to be seen what kind of capital they would be willing to spend on a tight end, because just because he historically doesn't do it doesn't mean that there probably wasn't tight end prospects in the past that he had fallen in love with. It just means that, the opportunity probably never arose, and obviously prospects now in general are just better, and he was always picking in the late first, actually mid to late first was usually where he was with the Saints. So yeah, that's how I kind of feel about that. But most of Sean Payton's first picks of the draft are edge, offensive line, wide receiver, and defensive back. And the first pick of the 2023 draft was a wide receiver, and that was on a team littered with holes up and down the roster. And he's not afraid to give UDFAs a chance at the position. You see Kroll, you see Adkins, I don't think was drafted either. But yeah, based on historical trends, not something that we should count on. So also, when I was doing my research for Tyler Warren 2 months ago and talking about whether or not he'd be a good fit for the Broncos, I found this really, really good article from, it's called Canal Street Chronicles. It's called A History of Tight End Production Under Sean Payton. So this is where all my upcoming info is from. I highly recommend you check it out because it's a really, really good read. But either way, so the premise of that article is that Sean Payton's tight end history is less deep than you think, because he has coached some great tight ends. He's worked with guys like Jimmy Graham, Jason Witten, Jeremy Shockey. Juwan Johnson's probably the 4th best one he's worked with. And he's also rolled into seasons with, Kobe Fleener, Jared Cook, Ben Watson, Adam Troutman being the guy to lead the room. But the average tight end in a Sean Payton offense is 39 catches, 474 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yes, you read that right. The average starting tight end in a Sean Payton offense is 39 catches, 474 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And at the bottom, even including Jimmy Graham, they average 64 catches, 750 yards, and 6 touchdowns. It is very, very rare for a tight end to make a huge impact. And it should be worth noting that of all the 9 tight ends who have been drafted in the first round over the past 8 years, they have combined for 0 All-Pro selections and only 1 1,000-yard season amongst all of them. Like, literally, I'm talking all of them. So think about Kyle Pitts, think about Noah Fant, think about who are some other first-round tight ends, TJ Hawkinson, think about all those guys. And the fact that they were not able to combine, they were only able to combine for 1,000-yard season hit rate for a first-round tight end is not that good. Now, Brock Bowers, he is pretty much going to set literally every tight end record, and he would probably have been our pick. We've heard it on more than one occasion had we stayed pat at 12 last year. But yeah, it's just not a good bet to be making in general. I don't think that's something that's necessarily going to scare off the Broncos, but if we do take one, you need to temper your expectations just a little bit. And yes, we need one, but historical data says that free agency is probably the way that we are going to solve this position. Juwan Johnson's a free agent, and Sean Payton literally brought him into the league. He gave him a chance as a UDFA in 2021 when he was coming out of Penn State. Gesicki is also a free agent, and even though I think he gets re-signed by Cincinnati, I think he's going to be a huge priority for the Broncos in free agency this upcoming year. Tyler Conklin, another name to watch. Ertz also, he would be fine, but he feels a little old for the direction this team wants to go in. So here are some more thoughts. Too many teams in front of us are also looking at tight ends. Mainly, like I mentioned, the Colts. Like I said, they're our biggest op when it comes to this whole thing. But the Buccaneers might be in the market for a tight end. I don't know why everybody mocks a tight end to Miami, but hey, if that's the way they want to go, that's the way they want to go. But if a tight end really is our guy, let's say they have a super premium grade on Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland as a prospect, I don't see a veteran free agent that we just bring in causing the Broncos to divert away from that. So that opens up the discussion of, wow, you don't just acquire one tight end this offseason, you acquire 2. And it'd be fun to see what they could do with something like that. But I just don't see a Juwan or a Gesicki type preventing them from going balls deep on a tight end if they really, really want to. And there's still a lot of dudes at tight end this draft, even beyond round 1. So even if they don't land Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, You could end up with a guy like Harold Fannin. You could end up with a guy like Terrence Ferguson, Oronde Gadsden, Gunnar Helm. That's another dude I really like. And you wouldn't even have to use a round 1 pick on them. So the position of tight end, running back, they're both deep this year. So I could see the Broncos going entirely away from that in their round 1 strategy. And Payton, they've done a good job drafting. So I trust their judgment. With whatever they want to do, I think we should support them no matter what. I'm going to end this video with a mile high salute. I will see you guys next time. Peace.